test, right?
Yes, this is the review for Unit 4 free response. Okay,
Oh, that's the free response one?
this is the free response one. So we're going to go through the steps, same thing that we did every single time. Okay, so I'm going to go through, it says graph. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to just do the steps as I go. So step 1 is going to be is 1. Step 2, period, is going to be over b. What's my b value here? 1. B value is just 1, right? Hey, can you guys keep it down in the back? Tony, that's you. Turn it down. All right, and so we have this. So it's 2 pi because there's a 1 implied right there. And then step 3, so it's the same step 3. So, but this one here has a phase shift. To get my phase shift, negative d over b. Negative d over b. And so right here, my d value is a positive pi over 3. So it's a positive, and my b value is 1. Okay, so from here, my phase shift is just going to be a negative pi over 3. So that's going to be negative pi over 3. So on my parts, I'm going to have, let's see. All right, so yeah. So 0 times my period, which is 2 pi plus negative pi over 3. 1/4 times 2 pi plus negative pi over 3. 1/2 times 2 pi plus negative pi over 3. I'm going to probably end up using the back side of this or another page to fit everything in. But for the sake of what I'm doing here, I'm just going to do it over here. And then the plug-in is going to happen on the other page. Does that make sense? Okay. So then we have, next one's going to be 3 over 4 times 2 pi plus negative pi over 3. 1 times 2 pi plus negative pi over 3. So by going through and doing this, this is going to be 0, and this change of color. So this one's negative pi over 3. And this next one's going to be, let me see, pi over 2. 3 pi over 6 minus 2 pi, so it's positive. It should be a positive pi over 6. I think so. 2. Yeah. Positive pi over 6. Positive pi over 6. Huh? This is just positive pi over 6.
How do you do
Did you plug this one in the calculator?
No.
Oh, think about it. Okay, so in my head, to do the fraction, I'll put it right here so you can see this. All right, so right here we have 1/4 times 2 pi, which is going to be 2 pi over 4, right? Which is pi over 2, right? But the common denominator is going to be 3, isn't it? So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 3, which gives me 3 pi over 6. And I am minus, right? Plus a negative, so minus, but that's going to be a negative pi over 3, right? And to make it to a common denominator, common denominator, I would multiply this by 2 over 2. That would give me negative 2 pi over 6. And so when I combine this and this, hey, Bob. Okay, so when I combine 3 and negative 2, I should get a positive 1. Okay, it's positive 1, which is 1 pi over 6. Now, if you're struggling with that, what could you always do? Plug it into a calculator, and what do? Replace pi with 1, right? And then when I'm done, what do? Slap the pi on the end. Slap the pi on the end. Okay, so next one should be pi, so that's 2 pi over 3?
Yeah.
Positive 2 pi over 3? Yeah, that's good. 2 pi over 3. The next one's going to give me, it's over 6. Five pi over 6?
No.
What'd you get? You're still working on it? Okay, if everyone else could be more than one person working on it. Those calculators are very handy. Negative. It's not going to be a negative because right here, 1/2 times 2 should be 1, right? So that's going to be. Which one are we at? Are we on the 3/4, right? Okay, so that's going to be, let me see, 6 pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 2. And same thing, common denominator, so 3 over 3. That's going to give me 9 pi over 6. And the other one, so it's going to be negative pi over 3 times 2 over 2, which is going to give me a negative 2 pi over 6. And so when I combine 9, yeah, 7, yeah, there you go. So 7 pi over 6. So you can just plug it in the calculator though. And my last one is going to give me, what's that? 6 over 3, 5 pi over 3? 5 pi over 3. I'm like 95% on that one.
Oh, crap. Oh.
Is it? Yeah. So 5 pi over 3. So now, hey, shh. You guys keep it down, please. All right. Now I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna put it on my graph. I'm gonna put my points on my graph so we can see where they go. So negative pi over 3. That's the only negative I have. It's the only negative I have. So it'd be right here. The next one's gonna be a positive pi over 6.
How do you know how, like...
How far over? I'm guesstimating. That's the only negative one I have, right? So that should be the only one that's on the left side. Everything else is positive, so it should be on this side. And so 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, and then
It's
7, sorry, 7 pi over 6, and then 5 pi over 3. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
All right, you ready? So we're going to start plugging in now. So this is going to be step 4 in the plugins. So my original is CSC x plus pi over 3. Alright, that's the equation, right? So I'm going to start plugging it in. So I should get CSC and negative pi over 3 plus pi over 3. CSC of pi over 6 plus pi over 3. CSC of, was it 2 pi over 3?
Yeah.
Plus pi over 3. And, ooh, too many parentheses there. CSC of 7 pi over 6. CSC of 5 pi over 3 plus pi over 3. So when I plug these into the calculator, what's going to be the slight difference here?
You're going to actually put the pi.
You're going to put pi, right? When you plug it in the calculator, you make sure you plug in pi. What about my answers? What are my answers going to do? I'm going to have some weird answers here. Undefined. You're going to get a couple undefined, right? So for those people that are helping me out, do this on hand. So you could use your unit circle on this, right? You could use your unit circle because in the upper right-hand corner, it has the reciprocals for you. It has the reciprocals. So now we're looking at CSC, which is the reciprocal of sine. So if I'm looking at that, the upper right-hand corner, CSC is 1 over y, right? So now in my equation, I get negative pi over 3 plus pi over 3, which is 0. So I'll put my finger on 0. And what is the 0? So it's going to be 1 over 0, which is undefined. Next one is going to be, I'm missing a thing there. There it is. All right, the next one's going to be pi over 6 plus pi over 3 is going to give me pi over 2. Now, put your finger on pi over 2. And it's going to be the y value, right? So it's 1 over y, and my y value is 1. So 1 over 1 is going to give me 1. The next one is going to give me 2 pi over 3 plus pi over 3 is pi. Put your finger over there on pi. And CSC is 1 over y, so that's 1 over 0. So 1 over 0 is undefined. The next one's going to be 7 pi over 6 plus pi over 3 is going to give me 2 pi, 3 pi over 2. At 3 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, it's very bottom, so it's going to be 1 over y. The y value is negative 1. So 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Very good. And the next one, 5 pi over 3 plus pi over 3 is 2 pi. All the way to the right, 2 pi, so it's 1 over y, which is 1 over 0. 1 over 0 is undefined. Okay, so if you are struggling with this, just plug it in the calculator. Plug it in the calculator. So just make sure when you're plugging it in, step 4, you always include pi. And what if you're plugging in the calculator, what do you got to make sure of?
The parentheses. So for the phase shift, you only use it on the parts, right?
Yeah. Everything else is taken care of. Everything else is taken care
So
of.
it's not going to be negative.
Okay.
Because you have that negative pi over 3.
So it is, the phase shift is negative pi over 3, and that was included in my parts. But in the original problem is what we're trying to plug into, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so let me go back to the question I was asking, and I should be asking one particular person. When you're plugging in the calculator, what do you got to make sure of?
What's your radian?
It's in what?
Radian.
Radian. It's got to be in radian, otherwise it's going to be messed up. So at negative pi over 3, what do we come up with?
Undefined.
Undefined. So I'm going to draw my undefined. And at pi over 6, my answer was
1.
1. So I go up 1, put a dot there. And at 2 pi over 3,
Undefined.
our channel on YouTube, he did like the start and the end thing for this one. And I was confused.
Okay, so on this next one here, what do we get?
1.
Negative 1. Negative 1. What's that? 7 pi over 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my handwriting is horrible here. So it's negative 1 here. And my 5 pi over 3 is, there we go. Now, the difference about this one, so let's say for instance you missed class yesterday, this is the whole different. This is the only thing that's different than what we did on 4.2. So since we have asymptotes right here, and this is CSC, which is a reciprocal, that means I flip it over. So right here at the high point, which is this, where does my graph go?
Up.
Goes up. So at the high point, it goes up like this. And at the low point, way down here, where does that one gonna go?
Down.
That one goes down. So this is what your graph should look like.
Is that always gonna happen?
Yeah. Because these are reciprocals of this.
But if it was just like sine or
Sine and cosine would be the wave in between. All right, so that's probably one of the harder ones. And let's go with the next one here. So same steps, same steps. So I'm gonna have step 1 is amp, which is 2 over 5. Step 2, period. So tangent for the period, it's going to be pi over b. And my b value here is, so it's pi over 3. And for this one, tangent has a start and end. It's not the same fractions. It has a start and end. So my start divided by, what's the start divided by? B.
So if we use the pi
negative
over b or the
pi over 2.
Say what?
You know how I'm going to 2 pi over b?
What's 2 pi over b?
For the first one.
Because that has to go with sine and cosine.
So when it's tangent or cotangent is
Pi over b. So start divided by b plus phase shift. Now, what is the start for tangent?
Negative pi over 2.
Very good. Negative pi over 2. So we have negative pi over 2 divided by b, which is 3. Does this one here have a phase shift?
No.
No, no phase shift. So I don't have to worry about phase shift. Because there's nothing else right here. So it's only this. I don't have anything else over here. So let's see. I can't have it like that, so I multiply by the reciprocal. Negative pi over 2 times the reciprocal, 1 over 3. So my start is going to give me negative pi over 6.
So is the phase shift always going to be in parentheses?
Yeah, the phase shift would be in the parentheses with the x, but it's an adding and subtracting to the x.
So that is when
This one's a phase shift, right? This one has a phase shift where the b value is multiplying or dividing the x. Okay? All right, Tacho, what? How do I get what? That's the start. It's in the notes. It's always the start.
always going to start with pi over 2?
On tangent, it's the start is always pi over 2. Cotangent, the start is always pi. Cotangent, it's, no wait, hold on, I said that wrong.
Isn't it 0?
Yeah, it is 0. So cotangent has a start of 0. Tangent has the start at negative pi over 2. So, sorry if I confuse you. All right, so there's my start. So therefore, I have, next is going to be end. So the end for a tangent is going to be
Pi over 2.
positive pi over 2. Divided by b. My b here, again, 3 over 1. Pi over 2 times 1 over 3 is pi over 6.
Is that yours or?
No,
Oh.
these are extrema. This is calculus.
Oh, okay.
That's Grill. All right, so right here, I have negative pi over 6. Right here, positive pi over 6. And the start and end are always going to be what?
Undefined.
Undefined, so it's an asymptote. Now, to get my pieces in between, I would go period divided by 4. And in this case, the period was pi over 3 divided by 4 over 1, right? And so, I'm going to fix that because I can't have fraction over fraction. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So, that's pi over 3 times 1 over 4, which is pi over 12. Now, this pi over 12, what do I do with this pi over 12 here? Those are my steps. Those are my steps.
Wait, you can't simplify the 12?
It's 1 over 12. It does simplify.
Oh, that's the lowest
Yeah.
you can have in the denominator?
Yeah, because there's only a 1 in the numerator. Because I can't, if that was a 2 over 12, I would reduce that. But this is 1 over. So these are my steps. So it's going to look like this. And so I should always start at my start. Always start at the start. Hey, you guys, please, keep it down. So start at my start. So my start is right here. And I go plus pi over 12. And then I keep doing it. Plus pi over 12. Again, plus pi over 12. Again, and just put plus pi over 12. And if you're plugging it in the calculator, you plug it in the calculator, you could do it, just don't include pi. Don't include the pi, and just slap it on the end. Okay? You okay?
Wait, you said do it on the calculator,
You can do it on the calculator.
but don't include pi?
Don't include pi. Because otherwise it's going to give you a decimal. These are your parts. This is still part of step 3. It's not step 4. Step 4, include the pi. Step 3, don't include the pi in your calculator. Kiki, you okay? Oh, this is the formula that I gave you guys. To get your steps, these are my steps here.
Was this in 4.3 notes?
Yeah.
I don't have, I wasn't here for.
Okay.
So when you plug it into a calculator, you would start from the negative pi.
Negative 1 over 6. Negative 1 over 6 plus 1 over 12. Which should give you a negative pi.
Over.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. And then you get 0. Okay. You guys keep it down back there, please.
So is that like part of the parts?
Yeah, these are my parts. This is included on my parts. Because for tangent, cotangent, that's why it's different. This is the different piece for these graphs. So the next one should give you positive pi over 12. Next step does what? So this is all step 3. All this is step 3. So from the start down to my steps is 3. Now we're on step 4, which is going to be plug in, right? So we're going to plug it into the original. What are we plugging into the original? What, Jasmine? The X, yeah. We're plugging in the ones that I just did right here in red. If I plug in the blue ones, I already know those are going to be undefined. That's why we did those first. Those are my undefined portions. So my graph is going to be between those. So I plug in negative pi over 12. 2/5, 10. Brian? Shh. Oh, wait, this one's 0. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm running out of time, but if you want to stay, I will finish the last.
You're recording this, no?
Yes, I am.
Are you gonna put it up by when?
As soon as I'm done with the problems. The back page is actually super easy. It's only 1 step.
The back?
So, as we plug in this, that's going to give me negative pi over 4, negative pi over 4, tangent, so there's backwards. That's going to be a negative 1. Hey, you guys quiet, please. Hey, Jasmine. Shh. So, right here, we're going to get a negative 1 times 2/5 is negative 2 over 5. So, tangent at 0 is going to give me 0. And then tangent at positive pi over 4 is 1 times 2/5 is 2 over 5. Okay, so I apologize. I'm going to pause recording. All right, so we just finished plugging it into calculator. So this is step 4. So we did include pi. So if you're just plugging in the calculator, you do include pi, and we get these answers here. So negative 2 over 5. Go back here. So negative 2 over 5, so that's going to be down wherever. So it's less than 1, so I'm just going to put it here and kind of pretend like I zoomed in my calculator. So at negative pi over 12, we got negative 2 over 5, so I put my dot right there. At 0, I got 0. And at pi over 12, I got positive 2 over 5. So since there's the diagonal here, it goes like this. Just like that. So that is 1 period. And yes, this is what I am asking. I'm looking for these answers here when I'm checking this. Each one of these questions is a 5-point question. So if you can get most of this, you can get different parts of the answer correct.
What if I get the answer and just don't graph it?
Then it's 1 point. What answer do you want? Do you think you can get without graphing?
Wait,
All of them?
this isn't the study guide?
This is the study guide.
Oh, I did this. Okay. Well, I think I got it right.
All right.
Hold on.
What'd you-
Let me double check. Just in case I did it wrong.
You just don't like this one?
Me?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out in my head. Like,
Okay. Do you have your reference sheet out? Any of you guys got your reference sheet? I think I have one here somewhere. All right. Let's see.
Wait, isn't period 2 pi over 3?
No, because tangent and cotangent is only 1 pi.
Oh, that's what I did wrong. Why? Come on. I got it wrong.
So for the cotangent one, we do the same.
All right, again, sorry, more distractions. All right, so we are on the steps. We did the period, so like I was saying, so you're gonna have parts for every single one of this is going to be 5 points. Every question is 5 points, and I'm looking for certain things to give you each point. And the graph should be my last point. So you can get a bunch of the points just by getting this far here. At least 3, if you can get to here.
That I can still get enough. Like if I get something wrong, I can still get like partial points.
Yeah, that's why
I set it up.
yeah, that's why I do that. All right, so now let's take a look at the next one. Right here. Find the period. So how do I find the period of sine? So this isn't actually graphing, it's just finding period. So that's going to be step 2, isn't it?
Right.
Step 2. So it's step 2, and that's going to be, so my period is always, for sine and cosine, is going to be 2 pi over b. What's the b value here?
3.
Yep. So it's 2 pi over 3. That doesn't reduce, so guess what? That's my answer.
Because you were only looking for the period.
Only looking for that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, better?
Yeah.
So show me what you got. Show this work and you get all 5.
Okay. But it says and the phase shift.
Oh, and phase shift. Oh, good job. Thank you. Because now, how do I get the phase shift? Phase shift. Thank you.
Negative d over b.
Yep.
Okay.
Negative d over b. So my phase shift here is going to be negative d. So the d value in this case is,
Pi over 6.
so it is positive pi over 6, right? So that's the d, and the negative's on the outside, divided by b. And my b value here is
2 pi over b. Oh, your b 3.
just 3, right? So now, can't have fraction over fraction, multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to change 3 into 3 over 1, right? Because when I go like this, it's negative pi over 6, which is the top.
You're just changing it into a fraction. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a fraction here, fraction over fraction, multiply by the reciprocal. So I always flip the bottom. So right here it's 3 over 1. It's divided by 3 over 1. Now it's going to turn into a multiplication of,
1 over 3.
very good. So my phase shift in this case, I multiply straight across. So negative pi times 1,
Pi.
negative pi, over 6 times 3.
18.
Yep. So you have this answer here, and you have this answer here.
That was better. I get that.
Okay, good. All right, so now this next one is asking for phase shift and vertical shift. They call it vertical translation, but it's VS. Okay, so phase shift. Let's start with the phase shift. So phase shift, negative d over b. So it's going to be, it's negative parentheses. Now my d value is a positive pi over 2. And my b value is
4? Wait, no. 1/2?
yeah, it's 1/2. Very good. So again, fraction over fraction, I have to,
Multiply?
by the,
Reciprocal.
yep, negative pi over 2 times the reciprocal of this is going to be
2 over 1.
2 over 1. What's going to happen to those 2's?
Cancel.
And I'm left with an answer of,
Pi.
close,
2 pi?
nope,
No. Negative pi?
negative pi, very good, negative pi. Can't forget that negative because that's going to be key right there. Make sure you don't forget your negatives. Vertical translation or vertical shift. So take a guess at it. What does the 4 represent?
Amp?
Amplitude.
Okay.
What does the 1/2 represent?
B?
B. What does the pi over 2 represent? What does that go with? That's your,
Phase shift?
yeah, that goes with the phase shift, right? That's part of your D, right? That's your D.
Okay.
And so, what's the other thing?
Negative 1?
Negative 1. What do you think negative 1's going to do?
Move it
Move it where?
to the left?
No, because that's my vertical, or my phase shift. My phase shift moves it left and right,
Oh, it's going down.
down 1, right? So my vertical translation is going to be negative 1. So my vertical shift is negative 1, or I could also just say down 1.
I get that.
All right. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button.